Adrienna. Thank you for coming in today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So, before we get started, can you give me kind of an overview of why you sought out career counseling with me today?
Yeah, so I thought that career counseling would be good for me because I'm currently in the job search. I'm in grad school now, but I don't know if 100% if I'm going into the field that I want to go into. So I thought maybe to look at my options. I love what I do, but I wanted to look at my options a bit more to see if this was exactly what I wanted to do. So that's why I'm here today.
It's always good to be sure of your choices. So, before our meeting today, I had you take the strong interest inventory. How did you feel about taking that assessment? What are your initial kind of thoughts?
I thought it was a good assessment to take. I found some of the questions were like just phrased in a different way, or like it gave me like the occupation, and then it would give me like a description, some type of description of the occupation, which I thought was like, well, am I supposed to answer how I answered it last time, or not? But
right, yeah, if it would be consistent.
Yeah, but overall, I just felt what I answered the questions how I felt. So those are the results that I want to see.
Well, great. Yeah, so we'll go over that right now for you. But answering them how you feel is exactly what you should be doing to get accurate results. So great. All right. So I just want to emphasize that the purpose of the strong interest inventory is not to like put you in a box of the only occupational options that are out there for you. It's just to give you a gauge of your interests. So it might not even necessarily be things you think you're good at, but you might be interested in them. So just keep that in mind while we go through this. So take a look at this. So these are all 6 of the different theme descriptions based on the Holland Code. So these are all 6 of the theme descriptions, and then right below are your 3 highest themes that they gave to you based on your responses to the question. So take a second and read through those and see if you generally overall agree with what the results said on the most broad level.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree with this. I have been looking into business options to potentially open my own business. My major was political science in undergrad, so I could see where the politics and leadership come into play. And like I said, the business and entrepreneurship, I could definitely see where that comes into play. As far as my second highest, so I really enjoy doing community service, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to join a Greek organization. So yeah, conventional, I'm not really sure. The C doesn't really fit with me, but the other 2 fit very well. So,
okay, good
yes,
to know.
I do agree.
All right, well, we'll see kind of what some of those, we'll look at what the occupations look like too, to see if you can find any in the C's that are relevant to you, and if not, there might be other reasons why you were placed with that theme. So we will now go on to your occupational scales sheet, which indicates the top 10 strong occupations that the strong interest inventory gave you. So these are the top 10 options right now. So if you see the top is paralegal, is that something that you've ever considered?
I have considered it in the past, but it's not something that I really want to do. After like trying it out, yeah, it's not for me. A community service director, though, that sounds like it would be something that I would be interested in. One, because I'm definitely interested in like serving my community, but I think I have the drive to be a director and keep like something organization within a company like that. So
Sure.
yeah, for the second one, I think that fits me best.
Okay. What do you think about the other ones? Because there's quite a variety of these on here for you.
Nursing home administrator, not sure if that's really for me.
Yeah, because you mentioned some leadership skills, so that might be where, or owning a bit like business kind of management is probably where that came from.
And when I think of administrator, I think of a lot of paperwork and stuff. Like, yes, I want to be the one like filling out that paperwork, but at the same time, like I don't want to have to deal with a lot of paperwork.
Sure, you don't have to be the main part of your job. Yeah.
As far as a flight attendant, I mean, I would try something like that. Be able to travel the country. I love traveling, so I would definitely want to try something like that. I'm not 100% sure what they mean by buyer.
I think
buyer of what?
Yeah, I think there's a later on in this profile it gives a more detailed description of what that means. So we'll go over that in a bit.
Okay, but I could see myself as a maybe a restaurant manager. I think managing things, but at the same time, I also don't like a whole lot of paperwork. But I enjoy working with a team of people and managing them and helping them reach their goals as well. So yes.
Sure. All right. Good to know. And then we also see some occupations that you most likely would not be interested in. So do you agree with not wanting to be a chemist?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, at least we know.
Anything in the medical field is not for me. So.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. Okay. So now, all right. So now we have our occupational scales. So this has a list in the order of kind of where the interest inventory ranked, like your enterprising was your main one, then social second, conventional third. So it puts those in order and gives you a list of occupations based on your similar interests. So if you see here your similarity score, in enterprising, the highest one is purchasing agent. You have a similarity score of 60 for that one, versus say over here in artistic, your similarity score with being a medical illustrator is negative 17. So they very much know that is probably not something you're interested in. So scan through these and see if there are any examples. You can take a highlighter and see if any of those pop out to you as ones you might want to do some more research on. And don't feel limited to only the first three that you were listed as. You can also look at the other ones. You never know what you might be interested in. Okay. Well, we can talk about some of these. So, okay, we already briefly talked about flight attendant and restaurant manager. What made you also choose parks and recreation manager?
Because I feel like that would be part of the giving back to my community. I would be able to work with not only the parks, but work with special programs that happen for children. Like basketball programs, a football program, or something like that goes through the parks and recreation. So, yeah, I feel like it would allow me to fulfill my need to give back to the community.
Okay. Do you like working outside generally, or?
No, not for me.
Well, I'm sure there are, like you said, some of the community-based parks and recreation stuff that doesn't necessarily involve going outside too many times, or at least working directly outside all the time. All right, so now we'll go on to your personality style scales. So this sheet gives an overview of like your work style, your learning environment, leadership style, and it puts it on a continuum on if when you took the test or inventory it was like clear or if it was unclear. Most of your results ended up kind of mid-range, except for work style. It seemed it was clear that you prefer working with people and you prefer helping others. Does that seem true?
Yes.
Okay. So for your learning environment and kind of place, like, and leadership style and risk taking was literally 50-50. So sometimes you like being in charge, sometimes you like motivating others, but kind of being the person helping the leader, not necessarily being the one in charge. And then it also says you kind of like risk taking sometimes, but you also don't like risk taking. So how do you kind of feel about these results? Do you agree? Do you disagree? You can also look at the description a little bit more as well.
I would agree for the most part. I do like working with other people, but I also need that time to work just by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that I am outgoing, but only in certain aspects. Not every part of me is outgoing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mention taking risks and not taking risks, so like taking risks as in a job risk, I would be willing to take that type of risk, but like as in like a career risk, I don't know if I would be willing to sacrifice my career to potentially test out a different career.
Sure.
And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see this and I can agree with this.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, we can consider these when looking at potential career options because some jobs will require more risk taking than others and require certain leadership styles and other things like that. So that's what that is aimed toward. Okay, so now this part of the assessment goes over your top 5 interest areas. So this is based on, like I said, what you're interested in. So it ranks athletics as first, teaching and education, sales, entrepreneurship, and management. So are these kind of topics that you would agree or disagree being interested in?
Somewhat. So athletics, I enjoy watching any type of sport. After an injury, I don't think I would ever play again, but watching is definitely something that I'm interested in. Teaching and education, though, I feel like that fits me very well, especially with my current position, educating students around campus on diversity and inclusion initiatives is something that I do every day and that I really enjoy. So those two interests fit me well. And then I wouldn't say sales, but entrepreneurship. I told you I'm looking into starting my own business, so I think that would fit me as well as management.
Sure. And here we are working with the areas of least interest with science. So yeah, so we're on a trend there. And then again, it just goes over the top 10 occupations that we went over. And here's a brief kind of summary on how many questions you responded to with certain answers. So it has your typicality index as a pretty consistent response. So there was nothing on there that made it seem like you were answering strongly like for everything, or you were answering indifferent for everything. It looks pretty standard, so it should be giving pretty consistent results. All right. Okay, so now we are going to go into a little bit more depth about your reports and the themes that came out of this assessment. So to give a little an additional overview about the 6 occupational themes, the ones that you ranked as highest as were the E, which were persuaders, social, the helpers, and C, the organizers. And it's important to go over this, and you can find a career-specific job or see if you need more education. Or again, this can also just have ideas for volunteer or leisure activities as well. If you're pleased with your career but you kind of want something else to add to what you're doing, these can help out with that. All right, so here is your theme code. Once again, ESC. If you would like, you can highlight any of like the definitions or descriptors, anything on here that seems like it would be interesting to you. These top 3 are the ones that you have most in common with, and the other ones on this part of the page are the ones that you did not score as high on, but some aspects of it still might be interesting to you. So just take a minute to look over that. All right, thank you, Adrienna. Okay, so we talked about the managing and the helping and the instructing, and you put organizing, which if you reported some organizing aspects in your report, then that might be where the conventional is coming from, because I know you were questioning that a little bit earlier, and possibly problem solving a little bit as well. Okay, so if we look over here, it has a list of possible career fields now. So this is more broad, like the overall career field, not the specific occupation. So we have human resource management, nonprofit management, career life coaching, training and development, hospitality management, and mediation and arbitration. So how do you feel about those? You were mentioning some stuff about management, so that's coming up a lot here.
Yeah, I think management is an area, whether it's managing a department, managing a specific group of employees or anything like management, I think fits me best. As far as like nonprofit, that also fits me. However, career and life coaching, I'm not sure if that really fits me, but or mediation and arbitration. I love like listening to politics and getting different points of views, but that's not my area. So
Sure.
Human resources and management, that kind of stuff, that does fit me.
All right, well that is good to know, since we are seeing a kind of management theme going on here, so that helps. Okay, so now on this part, it looks like the assessment is going to mainly be focusing on your top 2 theme codes, which is enterprising and social.
Okay.
But it is important to consider that you're not limited to these career fields. The strong invest inventory does not include every possible occupation out there, but we can talk about some additional resources for you to explore some more specific or different occupations, but along your interests as well. So your career motivators are the enterprising and social, which is persuading and influencing and helping others. So you might possibly enjoy persuading others of the value of something that is personally meaningful, or managing or supervising in a helping environment. Or you may like helping others through influence and persuasion, or helping others in a business environment. So these are occupations that would be labeled as ES or SC. Okay, so considering these career motivators, how do you think this could determine what kind of work that you would enjoy doing? or that you would like to do?
I think that it could determine the type of work that I would like to do because it's helping me acknowledge that I do like helping and serving other people. And that has a lot of value in my life. So, yeah.
All right, that's good. And do you kind of see any of these career motivators in your current occupation, or have you had past jobs that you've seen this present in?
Yeah, I definitely see it currently in working in the Office of Multicultural Affairs because I'm able to help students learn more about diversity and inclusion, as well as I'm able to help students get fit as well. We have a program that is trying to promote students to give 2% of their day to moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also able to help students by challenging them. So through our dialogue series, we have a professor or an instructor come in and talk about their research, and we have students enter in an open dialogue. So I'm able to help them in various ways through my current position.
All right, well that's good to know. That especially helps you with deciding if this is accurate or not, especially if you have past experience with this. Okay, so on here now we have back to those strong interest areas that we talked about before with athletics, but now in a more detailed kind of look. So this looks like it is your general level of your interests. So it's just things that you like to do. So this could be occupation, or it could be leisure time interests, and this has what theme it's related to and kind of what interests and activities typically go along with this. So do you agree with what this says on here? Do you have any examples of what you may have done in the past that could have brought about this interest?
For athletics, I am like a sports person, so definitely I can see why that's on there. Teaching and education, my current field of higher education, is why that would be on there. Sales, I did a little bit of sales like in high school, but it's not like DECA and marketing and stuff. So I can see why it's on there, but it's not an area that I would want to focus in.
Mm-hmm.
But entrepreneurship and management, definitely.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, if you notice here, your enterprising and social are also aspects of like your main themes. Realistic differs with athletics, but the other four are consistent with your inventory results. And it says here that if that's the case, then your interests are probably pretty focused. Like you have an idea of what you're interested in, and that helps, and it kind of coincides with what you like to do for work. All right, so now over here we have some more details on those occupations we looked at earlier. So we have a more specific look at the top 10 occupations that I recommended for you. So now you can go along these and highlight any words or phrases that look interesting to you. And you can also look here to see what knowledge and skills and abilities you would need to use for this occupation. If you already have some of these, great. You can see if you would need any additional education or training for any of these occupations. But right now, look at least through the typical work tasks and know anything that you would be interested in doing. a few more on the back. You did not highlight any in the paralegal, but you said you've kind of already explored that and figured out that it might be an interest, but it's not necessarily something that you want to pursue. You talked about the community service director, you like coordinating activities. And now I know earlier you had questions on what buyer meant. Do these descriptions kind of help you understand what that means a little bit more? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, like being the purchaser for a company, kind of things like that. So do you have any questions about what these are, or are there any that right now you have really no idea why they maybe put you in it, or?
Nope, I don't have any questions. I think they all fit me, like the ones that I highlighted, and I understand why I'm in all of these categories, and the ones that I highlighted fit me best.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, one resource that I did want to let you know about, because I did mention that the strong interest inventory does not provide a comprehensive view of all possible occupations out there. It just has a few. So if you want more details, there is a website called ONET, and it's a very large online database of occupations that you can search, and I believe it does have your theme codes associated with it, so you can look at that as well. Yes. All right. So now this is more in depth on the personal style skills that we looked at before, where most of yours are pretty in the middle. But take a look at these and see which ones you agree with.
So most of these things I definitely agree with, how I personally like to do things. So I think that fits me pretty well.
Which ones do you think fit you the most?
That I can learn by reading as well as listening. So like either or fits me. I like to apply new ideas to like harder problems. Like those two fit me very well. But I also like to work with people more than I like to work with things. So,
Okay, sure. So the social still fits you pretty well. What kind of implications do you think this has for possible occupations that you could look into?
I think that it's implying that I don't know, it's implying that I should look at occupations dealing with people and not hands-on things. I work better when I'm interacting with people, so yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, so we are on our last section here. So lastly, this is kind of just going over what the report and what the report went over in a very broad sense. So these were your themes. So environment descriptions that you might like are fast-paced. You might want a helpful and collaborative environment, and you might want a environment that's organized and efficient. And there are some also specific interests for work, leisure, and learning. Teaching people and traveling are kind of two of the things on here that are attending sports events also are some interests that we talked about today that are on here. And then it lists the careers that are most appealing to you again, and some examples about how you might like to work and learn, which are good to consider when doing your further research. So, okay, so before we go, what are some next steps that you think that you can take with these results in mind?
I think I need to do some more research around like the management type of businesses, as well as you mentioned the ONET.
Correct.
I think
yeah.
I need to go on there and also look at additional occupations that would suit my type.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, do you have any questions for me? Do you feel like, did you gain anything out of taking this? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel that I did gain a sense of the things that I need to look for when I am entering my career field. So I think I am very pleased with the results, and I know what I need to do now. So.
Great. Well, let me know if I can be of any more assistance, and we can always continue our conversation in another appointment.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.